And then what? And that's only one. You've got Obamacare coming, and nobody's really thinking through the amount of money that it's going to take just to comply with new regulations and how many jobs this will cost. Pat, how much money do the new regulations, according to the Small Business Administration, how much is this going to cost small businesses every single year? Listen to this number. Every single year, this is the estimate of what it's going to cost to comply with the new Obama regulations.
$1.7 trillion.
With a T, trillion dollars.
That's almost $2 trillion a year just to comply with the new regs that Cass Sunstein and the Obama administration have instigated.
Now, let me give you a real world scenario, at least in our world. But this is for everybody. I don't care if you're in construction or you do what we do, audio and visual work. Here's how this has impacted our business.
Yeah, one of our audio experts, Nick Daly, who does a lot of the, some of the audio stuff that you hear here. He's an expert. I mean, he's, he is well known in the industry.
So this guy is one of the best in the business. Mm-hmm. The guy who trained him works with him. Eric Chase is a guy who turned down Lucas, and said, "No, Lucas Sound, I'm not interested. I'm working over here." He's the best in the business, and I would say Nick is the second best in the business because he was trained by the best, and they're brilliant guys. So this is not a low paid position, and B, not somebody who you have problems with. He's a sound engineer.
Yeah, when he works on stuff, it's always right, and that's why
Always.
he has a great career. So we're, I'm talking to him yesterday, and he is explaining to me that for the past 2 weeks, he spent large portions of his time trying to readjust all the stuff he's built, relearn all these new regulations that he has to learn because of a rule that passed or that went into effect yesterday or today, which the FCC has put into place to specify the audio levels from one commercial to the next. Now, this has been a running joke by comedians for as long as I can remember that, you go into a commercial break, you have one commercial, and then the next commercial is for like a schlocky product and the audio's louder, right? I mean, that's happened to everyone. Like, okay, the Blammo, product is too loud. So it takes you a second. You grab the remote, you knock it down a couple notches, and then it's over. So the FCC has put inside a rule that makes every single commercial come within a certain amount of, to keep it very general, noise level. So all this has to be processed a certain way. Things that get outputted, through these complicated systems all have to be adjusted. You have to learn all the specific levels that these things churn out at. And what does it do? Like when you're watching TV, is it mildly annoying? On occasion, when one commercial is a little bit louder than the one before and you have to use your remote, if you're not TiVoing through the commercial, yes, it's mildly annoying. However, what the result of that is when a government tells you have to do it, we're taking in every radio station, every television station
and radio station
around the country has people now who have to learn all these things, take out time that they could be doing things that are productive, and learn these stupid regulations when 99.9% of them are already doing it. But it's not whether the sound, if it sounds good or if it's offensive. It has to be very specific regulations set by the FCC now.
Okay, so now here's where this really affects you and not the big guys. You go to CNN or you go to Fox, or you even come to us. How does that affect us? That means that I have just paid, and so has Time Warner, and so has Rupert Murdoch and everybody else. We have just paid very high compensated, best in the industry people for 2 weeks to learn exactly how to comply with these regulations. So how does somebody pay for it? Well, a business is a business, and that's got to come from someplace. Now, I can guarantee you that that's not the only employee that has now taken 2 weeks out of their time to have to learn these regulations. They also have to train other people, And in all other departments, there are new regulations that are happening as well. So let's say it's not 2 weeks for every department. Let's say some places it may be 4 weeks, some places it may be 2 days. But how many manpower hours have we lost as a nation or a business trying to learn how to comply with all of these new federal regulations? What happens to me is I now have less money because we're not as productive. Production is being slowed down. So I'm no longer as productive. So I need to either take out of my research and development, or if it's big enough, I have to not do future plans on something. I have to wait a little longer. And so that means I don't hire, I don't expand, or I raise my prices. Now, on the other hand, what happens to the people who are not in the big leagues? The people who are the average person, the average mom and pop, the average person who's just out there struggling to make ends meet, and you don't have that big advantage of a giant corporation behind you. What happens to you? You're the first on the chopping block. You're the first, because I can guarantee you every radio stations and television stations locally, they're not doing well. Everybody is struggling. And the first thing that people struggle, when business struggle, the first thing they do is cut the advertisement. The wrong answer, but that's what everybody does. Cut the advertisement. And so that puts them in a dicey situation. You look at the local news now, the 5 o'clock news on your local station. That's not what it was 10 years ago. So those people are already paring down. Now you have people on that staff that now has to spend 2 weeks to learn how to comply with some federal regulation. This is going to mean just that one change because somebody in Washington said, you know what, it's really annoying. We can fix that. That one change will cost how many jobs? And that's just one, a stupid one that nobody even thinks about. Meanwhile, Catcher in the Rye has been taken out of school districts. Catcher in the Rye, not because it's wrong or anything else, but because we now think it's more important. And I can't believe I'm actually saying this. This is an actual new news story. Catcher in the Rye is taken out of schools and replaced with the federal regulations from the EPA on insulation. Now, what do you think that is? Do you know anybody? Do you know any kid that's going to capture their imagination? You know, I was thinking about this yesterday. Bill Gates, didn't he drop out of school, or did he even go to school?
No, he
dropped out. Steve Jobs dropped out.
Michael Dell dropped out.
All of these people who are the innovators drop out.
Mark Zuckerberg.
You know why they do? Because there's nothing there to learn. There is really nothing there to learn except the rules and the regulations, and the rules and regulations do not lead to invention. They do not lead to innovation. They're teaching you paint in the numbers, paint within the lines. No nation will ever lead the world if that's what we are teaching our kids. And that's what we're doing. When we take out a story like Catcher in the Rye and we replace it in our school systems with the EPA regulations on fiberglass insulation, you are killing the country. It's amazing what's happening.
I mean, I point out to you, the president of this company dropped out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
and I never went.
And you never went. I mean, it's a story. It's not a knock on college. It's not that there's negatives, outside of the ones we always discuss.
Yes, it is.
There are.
Yes, it is.
But it's a problem with the way that, with the way our education system works.
And our education system does not work. That's an oxymoron. The way our education system works, it does not work. Mm-hmm. And it's designed not to.